Hey guys, sebchoof here. In the realm of the Mad God community, bugs have become a bit of a meme. And what I'm talking about when I say bugs is the small issues that might occur that are unintended and annoying, like visual bugs with sprites or issues with missions. But some bugs have been so unbelievably destructive that they've lost hundreds of players' items, caused hundreds of deaths in a permadeath game, and much more, like deleting your things that aren't even in the game. I'm not gonna spoil that one just yet, so make sure to stick to the end of the video, but I'm gonna be telling you the 7 craziest bugs in the history of Realm, or at least during the Deca era starting about 7-8 years ago. I don't remember the ones before then. If you're a veteran player, there's a good chance you haven't heard of all of these. And if you're a new player, well, buckle up, you're in for a hell of a ride. Some of these bugs are so bad that they had to take down the game almost instantly to get the bugs fixed. These will be ranked by the amount of destruction they caused at the time of their existence. Let's start with the first one, shall we? Now this one still exists, but it's super rare. Invisible enemies. Yes, you heard that right, and no, I'm not talking about those bullshit enemies in the shadows that come out of nowhere and insta-pop you from full health, making you consider uninstalling the game. I'm talking about enemies that you expect to have been killed because you saw them disappear, you saw their health go to 0, you saw their health bar deplete all the way, but for some reason, there's something still there that you can't see, it's still shooting, and it still damages you. There's even been some really bullshit deaths to them. Imagine how you would feel dying to this shit. Thankfully, this guy got a revive because he was recording, but if he wasn't, unlucky, skill issue. Now it's definitely not lag because there is no disconnecting symbol and shots are still registering and there's people running around. But if I had to guess why this is happening, it's probably because Deca went budget mode and got their servers from Wish. You probably thought invisible enemies were pretty insane. But you will not believe this one. There was a point of time where the permadeath feature was seen as not punishing enough, so not only did you lose your character forever like normal when you did die, but the game also leaked your email to everyone you were around. Yep, I'm not joking. In the reconstruction event 2 years ago, all the Godlands enemies got resprited. So this includes the Beholder enemy, and as you probably know, when you die to an enemy it says, for example, sebchoof died at level 20 to Beholder. But with this bug that occurred with the reskinned Godlands enemies, it would instead say, sebchoof died at level 20 to sebchoof@hotmail.com. Here's this guy as an actual example. Now, some people probably think this isn't a big deal. It's only 85 people that the company leaked your email to. I mean, that should be a big deal. But you'd think this is done and dusted. Well, if you check the player's realm eyes, which I can't tell you for privacy reasons, but on their realm eye, you can actually still see their emails listed as their killer. One of the guys did the smart move of privating their account, but the other person was not so lucky. This is to date the fastest Deca took down the game after a bug, so not that many people got affected, and it wasn't actually that destructive. Now, disconnecting in Realm is something I'm extremely used to, and probably you as well. You could be in a dungeon for over 30 minutes like an Oryx free, and then boom, out of nowhere. There's been many different ways you can get disconnected, like moving across a changing tile, or every 10 minutes for no reason, but imagine a way to disconnect other players by simply using your ability. Yep, that existed. The Bard ability allows players to buff others for a limited time to shoot further, but in this case, to grief them. 1 year ago for about 2 weeks, the Bard ability would disconnect others if players shot with the Inspire buff. So for over 2 weeks, Bard was the most hated class in the game, despite it having a very useful ability, and until it got patched, Bard was basically kicked from every single Discord raid. You've probably thought it couldn't get crazier when it comes to disconnecting. Well, around 3.5 years ago, during the ancient Flash times, there was a bug that was much more crazy. So the Cursed Library is a Deca era dungeon. It drops in Godlands, and it's pretty cool. It drops from the Beholders. It has 2 different bosses, and after killing the first boss and standing on all the different tiles in the dungeon, it reveals the second hidden boss. And then after killing that boss, there is an NPC that appears in its place. Now, if you're not a nerd, you probably don't know about this, and you probably haven't spent much time with it if you do know what it is, but basically it reacts to heaps of different messages telling you lore about different enemies, items, dungeons, and more. And among probably hundreds of these messages that the NPC responds to was one for the tier 5 dagger called the Golden Dagger. And I don't know what it says nowadays, that could be interesting lore-wise, but back then, if you typed Golden Dagger to this NPC, it would disconnect not only yourself, not only everyone in the dungeon, but it would disconnect every single player in that whole realm and then close it. So what players were doing was intentionally griefing realms by doing a curse library and saying Golden Dagger to this NPC, and it basically just wipes an entire realm. So if you wanted to do an Oryx in that realm and you spent 20 minutes closing and there's 5 remaining, you better hope there wasn't someone with a curse library ready to go, because if a troll joined you, he could easily just ruin your day. Guys, we are not slowing down on the insane bugs. In fact, they're actually getting crazier. Almost as crazy as the fact you're not subscribed yet. What the hell, man? Is that bug? Now, this bug that I'm about to mention isn't exactly in the game, but it did punish you for thinking of taking a break or quitting Realm of the Mad God. Sometime during the Exalt beta testing, about 2.5 years ago, the Realm of the Mad God Exalt Uninstaller would wipe your hard drive if you tried to uninstall. Man, if I did this, I would be so pissed, because I've got everything on my hard drive. I would have been furious. But a lot of people were. So many Reddit posts of people losing so many important files, including some threatening legal action. And also, rip this guy's porn. Very sad. This is definitely up there for one of the most destructive bugs in Realm history if we go by what people were saying, since it did affect people outside of the game. Okay, you guys might be a bit unsatisfied with the lack of deaths in this video, so that's gonna change a lot now. This one is about all the unfair massacres that occurred from bugs. There was a few, totaling thousands of deaths at least. The first, the one and only, the Ice Tomb Massacre. You probably expected this to be in the video if you're a veteran. This is the most classic massacre in Realm of the Mad God, killing what seemed to be over 200 characters, and what actually led to dungeons having caps, which at the time was made to be 85, 5 years ago. This massacre supposedly happened because the server crashed or something when there was way too many people crammed, like sardines, into one ice tomb. There were some other crazy ones, like for example this one from Lost Halls that occurred a couple of times when the players expected the boss to be dead, but it kept shooting anyway after the bag dropped and players did not expect it at all, killing heaps of characters. Also, the boomers might remember this one. In the old version of Lair of Draconis, it would lag out and kill everyone, but that's not even close to the worst Realm of the Mad God Massacre of all time. And this one is actually quite recent. It happened less than 2 years ago. To celebrate Month of the Mad God, it started with the most deadly bug in the history of Realm of the Mad God. If you were playing the game, you were not safe wherever you were. Okay, maybe in Nexus, but otherwise you weren't safe. Massive groups of players were getting instantly killed to seemingly nothing. Similar to the Ice Tomb Massacre, except there was no lag, and just out of nowhere, poof, a graveyard. There's no doubt hundreds of characters died, and Deca said that lost characters would get revived, but I was told by some that they weren't recording and they weren't so lucky. Even crazier is Deca tried to turn this into lore. This is exactly what they said. The bug, as many of you were asking, was caused by a cat. This actual cat. Is it too early to call this a catastrophic bug? The cat was eating bullets that disappeared and hit the players afterwards. Yeah, I got no words for that. I got no words. Now, this last one has been the most damaging bug in Realm of the Mad God for sure, and is actually still around. Drumroll, please. It's the Vault bug. If you've been playing Realm of the Mad God recently, you probably know what it is. It's made many players, including me, take long breaks from the game or quit outright. Basically, when you store an item in the vault, there's a chance that it just disappears after leaving. This has happened when people claim from the calendar and forged items. Even super recently, it also happened to players' end of season items, and was extremely common. It might have even happened to you watching this video. One of the worst parts of this is that you can only get your lost items back if you record it happening. Now, Deca actually said they banned previous players because of their vault records, but Deca can't tell if you lost an item to this bug. So, annoyingly, you have to check the vault again after leaving, and if the painful loading screens weren't enough, you have to deal with Deca support. If you didn't record it, tough luck, mate. I could never be bothered to do it, to be honest. There's no doubt that this has caused hundreds of thousands of rare items, including event whites and skins, to disappear because of how many players it affected, and because it was a bug that originally surfaced around 8 months ago. This bug also enabled duping methods previously, but they probably have, and really hoping that they've been patched. What do you guys think the most damaging realm of the Mad God bug was? Did I miss one? Comment below. There might have been an OG one that I forgot about. Big thank you to my patrons. It's my Patreon and Twitch supporters that push me to put out even more Realm content even faster, and to help me not starve like all the other Realm YouTubers that used to exist. So thank you so much. If you would like to consider supporting me, check out the link to my Patreon down below. Also, make sure to boop the like button, and look out for my next video coming to a cinema near you soon. Peace.